The S-curves.
Well, we chose the S-curves specifically, and it's calligraphic S-curve. It's not perfectly symmetrical. We chose that because those are the kinds of lines that we saw in the Arabic calligraphy and in the Persian miniature paintings that we were looking at. My feeling about the backgrounds, about the environments, was they should be places that invite you to explore them. They should be inviting. They should be attractive. They should not be off-putting in any ways, which is why we deliberately chose to round all the edges off of buildings and have, very few, if no, sharp edges.
And so it felt like, curvy environment, curvy characters, and I thought, who does curves the best in the world? Al Hirschfeld. I had always been a fan of his work. My parents both loved Hirschfeld. And so between all of that, I was just getting more and more hooked on Hirschfeld. And I started going in that direction.
The big question was, well, if we do this with the Genie, we really are going to have to do this somewhat with all the other characters.
We did, where we pulled all the animators together, Glenn Keane and Mark Hand and these guys, and we really said, how can we let this influence percolate through all the characters? And everybody really enjoyed that challenge.
Except for the carpet, who remained a rectangle.
And that's just because of Randy. He was obstinate. Yeah. We tried to get him to
But because you guys had been through so much of that and you were so quick on your feet to make the adjustments, I think for the animators coming onto it, the film was one of the most fun. It was such a lark, and you were letting everybody do the things they'd been waiting to do all their lives.
The really exciting thing to this gang of animators was that we were going to make a movie that was in some sense a satire of a Disney movie.
My assistant, Kathy Bailey, came running into my room. She said, they've lost it. You have to go outside and look at the storyboards. They have the Genie turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The ever impressive.
Right off the bat, the movie starts playing around with what's legitimate in the world of the movie and what's parody and what's anachronistic.
So I run out there, and he's not turning into Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's turning into all kinds of other current personalities.
Yo, woo, woo. I can't believe it.
Here's the deal.
And I thought, what are they, nuts?
Excuse me?
One of the devices was that the peddler who sings the song at the opening and does the introduction, who's, of course, Robin Williams' voice, introduces Robin's humor into the movie right away.
Combination hookah and coffee maker also makes julienne fries.
Without that, the Genie appearing 35 minutes later may come as such a huge jolt that the audience might reject it.
We actually loaded a box full of props. Then, once the mic was opened up in front of Robin, pull the cloth off, and he riffed on each object he pulled out.
This is the famous Dead Sea Tupperware. Listen. Still good.
At one point, he pulled up a bra, and he went, "Look at this, it's a double yarmulke. Look at this, it's a double slingshot." We tried to get it in the movie, didn't last, but...
So once he's established a little bit of tone of stand-up comedy, then we go into the prologue with Gazim and Jafar and Iago, and for the next 30 minutes or so, Iago gets to sort of fill in.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
For what Robin is going to do when the Genie finally appears.
Me?
There's another thing that I would mention, is that, it was my subversive pleasure to conceive the Genie as Jewish and Aladdin as Arabian. And it really felt like a buddy comedy. And I may not have gone in that direction until Robin started peppering some of his riffs with Yiddishisms.
You little punum there.
Punum means face, like sweet face. Now, that's pretty serious compared to the lighthearted stuff that's going on the screen.
You just go, Amy, I am with you.
I haven't talked about that to anybody, really, but I actually did feel it.
Genie, I'm gonna miss you.
Me too, Al. No matter what anybody says, you'll always be a prince to me.
The Genie is such a distinctive character for so many reasons, but one of them is just the speed. How did you approach that? And did you have to do a lot of experimentation and consultation with your directors, too, as to how to get the motion down the way you wanted it to be?
Part of it was because I came from doing television commercials, and I had to cram as much information into a 30-second piece as possible, as far as how the character was handled. And you know, John and Ron always conceived them as mercurial. The quick changes, you know, many of them came from Robin himself, you know, in the recording session.
This is the point where I should ask you about the Cave of Wonders as well. When did you conceive of that and doing it in that form?
It was in the script. I mean, the idea of that sequence of this dramatic sort of roller coaster ride through the cavern, I think it was really as we got into production after the boards were done. And we just felt like the subjective camera could work so well with a computer, better than a two-dimensional animation camera. And,
I mean, Beauty and the Beast, that had a big, major sort of computer set piece.
it did.
With,
And I think
with
we
the
were
ballroom.
influenced by that, certainly.
And so I think we were looking for ways to use the computer, and we didn't really have anything like Beauty and the Beast, but this seemed like another possibility of a way to go.
Another element that the directors were interested in pursuing with computer animation was the animated Cave of Wonders tiger head that rises up out of the desert and opens its mouth, and it's the entrance down into the cave. This particular shot is when they first approach it, and he's saying, So the way that we actually achieved this, Eric Goldberg provided us with key animation drawings for how the character's expression should read. And then we'd go ahead and basically match up what he had indicated on his drawings and apply that to the computer-generated model.
That was one of the very first uses of computer animation as well with a character. I mean, the tiger isn't, I mean, his personality is limited, but he is a character, and he speaks dialogue, and yet fits more with the backgrounds than with the other characters. But that was one of the first things like that.
Well, you guys have a lot to be proud of from this film, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Oh, go on.